Pull, pull, pull.
Imagine a man lying right underneath a circle of swords suspended above, having to predict which sword would fall first. One wrong move and he could end up getting stabbed. This isn't a made-up scenario. CRISS Angel actually did this in front of the audience and managed to escape without a scratch.
CRISS Angel is the mind freak. My mind is freaked.
CRISS was the guy who made magic look cool again.
Magic is a mental game, whether it's an illusion, an escape, or trying to influence somebody's mind.
But he was also constantly surrounded by controversies.
Las Vegas headliner CRISS Angel is speaking out about the frightening stunt that sent him to the hospital.
So where did this one-of-a-kind magician go?
It's so real. It's not an illusion. It's not like you're gonna wake up the next day and everything's gonna be okay.
Join us as we unravel what happened to CRISS Angel and all of his greatest controversies.
Unbelievable.
He's the best.
Early life and background. Born on December 19, 1967, in Hempstead General Hospital on Long Island, New York, CRISS has a Greek heritage that adds to his unique persona. He spent his early years in Elmont, but his family moved to East Meadow, New York when he was in 4th grade. His dad, John Sarantakos, ran a restaurant and a donut shop. CRISS got hooked on magic when he was just 7 years old. Inspired by the legendary Harry Houdini, he dedicated himself to learning the craft. By the time he was 12, he was ready to show off his skills to an audience. His first paid gig earned him a whopping $10, which must have felt like a fortune to a young magician. When he hit 14, he was performing regularly in local spots like the Wine Gallery in East Meadow, making quite a name for himself. One of his first big tricks was making his mom float in their living room. In the early days of his career, CRISS got a boost from Mark Maroney, a well-known animal breeder and TV host. Mark helped him train a set of doves for his act, adding a touch of elegance and wonder to his performances. After graduating from East Meadow High School, CRISS made a bold decision. He was going to be a professional magician.
CRISS, this is amazing.
Thank you.
While his parents hoped he'd go to college, CRISS had other plans. He hit the road, joining traveling performance acts and honing his craft on the go. He was a true self-starter, diving into the history of magic at public libraries and learning about mysticism, music, martial arts, and even dance. This mix of disciplines really shaped his unique style. Career beginnings. CRISS was all about forging his own path in the magic world. He once said he kept his distance from other magicians when he was younger because he didn't want to think like them. He wanted to create his own unique style, and boy, did he succeed. CRISS's first TV appearance was back in 1994 on a 1-hour ABC primetime special called Secrets. He quickly caught the attention of horror director Clive Barker, who became an early supporter. In 1995, Barker asked CRISS to collaborate on his film Lord of Illusions, and even recorded the intro for CRISS's album World of Illusion System 1. Barker was so impressed that he called CRISS extraordinary and said his visionary magic was the future.
Pull, pull, pull.
Around that same time, CRISS teamed up with musician Clayton to form Angel Dust, a show that combined magic and music. They released their first album, Musical Conjurings from the World of Illusions, in 1998. That year was a whirlwind for CRISS. He performed a 10-minute show at the World of Illusion conference in Madison Square Garden, doing an incredible 60 shows a day. But by 2000, it seems CRISS and Clayton went their separate ways, with Clayton's name disappearing from CRISS's website. CRISS didn't slow down, though.
Open your eyes up.
In 1997, he starred in the TV movie The Science of Magic, and later its sequel in 2003. His big break came with CRISS Angel Mind Freak, which started as an off-Broadway show before getting picked up by the World Underground Theater in 2001.
Boom.
Mind Freak was a massive hit, running for over 600 performances between 2001 and 2003 in Times Square. CRISS's stunts were legendary, like spending 24 hours in a tank of water, setting a world record for the longest time a human has been completely submerged.
I feel great now. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
This incredible feat became part of his first TV special. CRISS is also known for his skepticism towards mediumship. He's very vocal about his belief that no one can communicate with the dead. He's fine with people doing it for entertainment, but if anyone claims they're really talking to the dead, CRISS doesn't hesitate to call them out, even if they're from his hometown or family. Then there was this insane stunt CRISS pulled off in August 2002. Imagine being shackled underwater in a tiny water torture cell right in the middle of New York's Times Square. Sounds intense, right? CRISS was inspired by none other than the legendary escape artist, Harry Houdini. The whole setup was in the World Underground Theater, which was owned by WWE, where CRISS had been performing his stage show. To get ready for this trick, CRISS practiced in a neighbor's backyard swimming pool next to his mom's house in East Meadow, New York. But here's the thing. Before the actual performance, the longest he'd managed to stay underwater was 12 hours. So he decided to fast for 24 hours before the big day to avoid needing any bathroom breaks during the stunt. When the time came, he went through an impressive 16 oxygen tanks while shackled in the water. The goal wasn't just to stay submerged. CRISS had to free himself from the shackles and chains before getting out of the water.
I bartended a double shift, so I couldn't come in the morning to see him be put in, but I ran out of the bar and made sure I was here for the last 5 hours.
Within an hour of starting, his skin started to react to the water. At the end of the performance, CRISS, still submerged in the phone booth-sized contraption, yanked out his air hose, making the crowd gasp. His assistants quickly pulled a black curtain over the 220-gallon chamber, hiding him from the TV cameras, and about 100 onlookers gathered outside. Undercover, CRISS somehow managed to escape the shackles, binding his arms, legs, and neck. Then, with a triumphant scream, he pulled himself out of the water. When he finally emerged, his skin was all crinkled, and his eyes were bloodshot. He was immediately taken to St. Clair's Hospital for treatment for severe dehydration. This stunt is a perfect example of CRISS's commitment to his craft and his willingness to push his limits. Can you imagine the physical and mental endurance needed for something like this? It's no wonder CRISS is considered one of the most daring and innovative magicians out there. His TV appearances. On October 20th, 2002, CRISS Angel took the stage for an ABC Family television special called CRISS Angel Mind Freak, Postmodern Illusionist. This hour-long show was a tribute to the legendary Harry Houdini and was so popular that it aired again in the UK on Channel 4 on December 24th, 2002. The Birmingham Evening Mail had some pretty interesting things to say about it, describing CRISS as a provocative and darker alternative to other illusionists. The guy was out there walking the streets of New York, hypnotizing people, turning coffee cups into cockroaches, and even suspending himself from the ceiling with hooks in his back. And the highlight? He took on Houdini's famous underwater escape trick, trying to stay in a water tank for 24 hours, padlocked and restrained. Everything was going smoothly until the water filter system broke down, causing the water to heat up. It was a dramatic twist that changed everything. Fast forward to October 31st, 2003, when the Sci-Fi Channel aired a special called Supernatural starring CRISS. This one-hour special had some truly jaw-dropping moments. Filmed partly at Universal Theme Park in Orlando, Florida, the show featured CRISS crawling up buildings, passing a quarter through his skin, spontaneously combusting, and even having creatures burst out of his chest. CRISS is a total control freak when it comes to his TV specials. He's not just the star, he's also the executive producer, director, creator, and even writes all the music. Everything you see is on his label. During Supernatural, he pulled off crazy stunts like lighting himself on fire and making a tarantula crawl out of a pedestrian soda can. When you watch those things live, the impact is astronomical. 2003 was a busy year for Chris. Besides the Supernatural special, he was also featured in a 2-hour TBS special called Made in Japan. Early that year, he performed at the launch of the new branding for Miller Lite beer in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This performance coincided with the 80th anniversary of Houdini's last show in the city. Chris was suspended 10 stories in the air, bound in a straitjacket, and in true Houdini fashion, he escaped. And let's not forget his illusion at Ozfest in 2005, where he wowed the crowd once again. During this period, Chris also found a lucrative side hustle, selling signed merchandise. He made $50,000 a day from this. It's clear that Criss Angel isn't just a master of illusions. He's also a savvy businessman. Breakthrough with Mind Freak. Back in 2005, Criss Angel didn't just star in Criss Angel Mind Freak on A&E Network. He was the mastermind behind it.
Oh my God.
He was the creator, director, and executive producer, and the show started production in January of that year. The first 2 seasons were filmed at the Aladdin in Las Vegas, and they moved to the Luxor, Las Vegas for the 3rd season. The show premiered on July 20th, 2005, and it was packed with some seriously jaw-dropping illusions. We're talking about Chris walking on water, levitating, walking up the side of the Luxor Hotel under the lights that can be seen from space, floating between 2 buildings, making a Lamborghini disappear, surviving in an exploding C4 crate, cutting himself in half in front of a live audience, and even getting run over by a steamroller while lying on a bed of broken glass. After the first season aired, they released it on DVD so fans could relive all the magic. They also put out a Halloween special and 2 additional episodes on a separate DVD. The show was such a hit that it came back for a 2nd season in May 2006. The audience couldn't get enough, so A&E renewed it for a 3rd season in July 2006. By then, Criss Angel Mind Freak was A&E's top-rated show, drawing in more than 1.5 million viewers. Chris kept pushing the envelope to promote the show. One memorable stunt involved him being suspended within a concrete-encased cube above Times Square. He had to escape before the block crashed to the ground, and of course, he pulled it off. Criss Angel Mind Freak didn't just captivate audiences in the US. It became one of the most popular foreign TV shows in parts of Asia, including China. Chris had truly taken his magic global. In the mid-2000s, magic was having a major comeback, thanks to movies, TV shows, and books that got people excited about it again. Criss Angel Mind Freak was right at the heart of this revival. It was the first weekly magic TV show in 40 years, which was a huge deal. Daily Variety had some great things to say about the premiere.
Demonstrated it literally when I passed through a storefront window. Now watch, hit it.
They were blown away by the stunts, but also loved the personal touch Chris brought to the show. Viewers got to see the kid from New York who started honing his magic skills at 6, and how he and his team, including his often worried brothers, worked together to plan even crazier and more dangerous stunts. The show ran from 2005 to 2010, and by the end of its run, Chris had racked up more hours on primetime TV than any other magician in history. The show wasn't just about flashy tricks. Chris also used it to perform seances and other illusions, to teach his audience about con men and scams, showing people how to avoid getting ripped off. One of the craziest stunts he pulled off was in July 2008. Chris escaped from a beachside hotel right before being demolished. in front of a massive crowd of about 50,000 people. This illusion was also aired on his show. After the stunt, Chris did something really cool. He walked the audience through how he did it. First, he picked open a set of handcuffs that had him shackled to a balcony railing. Then he smashed a window to get into the hotel and picked padlocks on the room's door and the stairwell door.
Chris. Remember, he has to have 30 seconds on top of that roof and be away before the helicopter will leave.
The plan was originally to escape via a ladder hanging above the hotel's roof 30 seconds before the collapse, after picking through 5 locks on the roof's door. But in a dramatic twist, Chris emerged from the rubble after the collapse and revealed that the plan was always to escape via a helicopter. The whole illusion had a tight 4-minute window, with dynamite set up on the 1st, 2nd, and 4th floors of the building, subsequent projects. In 2006, Chris teamed up with Cirque du Soleil to create an epic stage show called CRISS ANGEL Believe. The show premiered at the Luxor, Las Vegas on September 26, 2008, and it quickly became the top-selling live magic show worldwide. The name Believe was inspired by the legendary Harry Houdini, who supposedly chose the word believe as a secret code word to communicate after his death. The Luxor's parent company, MGM Mirage, poured a massive $100 million into the show. Despite several delays, CRISS ANGEL Believe had its grand opening on October 31, 2008, with preview shows starting in late September, which coincidentally marked the 82nd anniversary of Houdini's death.
Go.
The initial previews got a mixed bag of reactions. Some people from the Las Vegas Sun, Los Angeles Times, and Las Vegas Review-Journal felt the show was missing the magic that Chris was famous for. They found the theme confusing and thought both Chris and Cirque du Soleil weren't showcasing their full potential. However, not everyone agreed. The Las Vegas Sun later quoted Star Pulse, which praised the show as everything a perfect magic performance should be, and even called it transcendent art that could potentially change your life. In April 2009, things got a bit heated when Chris ended a performance by throwing some pretty harsh words at blogger Perez Hilton, who was in the audience. Hilton had been texting his fans during the show, calling it unbelievably bad and saying he'd rather be getting a root canal. Word of this got back to Chris, and he wasn't too pleased. Cirque du Soleil ended up apologizing to Hilton for Chris's remarks. However, by 2010, some changes were evident in the show. Even the skeptical John Katsilametes from the Las Vegas Sun put it more positively after turning to Believe, saying that its performance had got minimally narrative and maximally magical. That year, the show was able to gross an estimated $150 million in tickets. CRISS ANGEL Believe did not end in doing so, and until 2019, it was still the most successful magic show in Las Vegas in terms of ticket sales as of 2013. But Chris did not stop there. In the year 2019, Chris was able to perform a brand new show, which was known as the Mind Freak Live at Planet Hollywood. In this new show, he was on stage 5 times a week, constantly delivering new tricks and mind-blowing illusions to his viewers. It was succeeded by Chris's stage show, which marked its 5th anniversary in October of 2013. The same month saw the debut of a new cable television program, CRISS ANGEL Believe, aired on Spike TV. The first season of this show was even more overloaded. There were 11 episodes in total, and every episode was an hour long. Altogether, the show presented 118 different illusions. The guests were cool, and some of them used in the show included Ludacris, Ice-T, Randy Couture, and Shaquille O'Neal. Endemol purchased the international distribution rights of CRISS ANGEL Believe, and whenever that show was aired on Spike TV, it immediately became the most watched new original series for the network in 18 months. One of the standout episodes was Lord of Illusions, Death Premonition, where Chris paid tribute to Clive Barker, the director of the horror film Lord of Illusions. In the episode, Chris recreated a daring stunt from the movie. He lay beneath a circle of suspended swords and predicted the correct order of 6 falling swords to avoid getting stabbed. The audience helped select the swords using a randomly bouncing ball. According to the Las Vegas Sun, CRISS was the first magician ever granted permission by the inventor and filmmaker to recreate this death-defying stunt. Another thrilling episode filmed in New York City saw CRISS performing a dangerous trick where he was bound by his feet, strapped into 2 straitjackets, and had a noose around his neck attached to metal weights. The NYPD asked him not to pre-announce this performance to avoid crowd control issues. CRISS successfully completed the trick, but ended up tearing his shoulder muscles, requiring surgery in January 2014. This injury led to a temporary closing of the Believe stage show from January to April 2014 while he recovered. Even while recovering, CRISS stayed busy by hosting a new stage show featuring other magicians between February and March 2014. Clips from CRISS Angel Believe became hugely popular on YouTube with more than 15 million views, making them the most watched magic clips in the history of the site at the time. In the show, CRISS also pulled back the curtain to reveal the secrets behind some of his illusions. For instance, in the Lord of Illusions trick, he revealed that the swords were in a preset order, ensuring he could avoid them. The episode showed CRISS and his team discussing potential problems with the trick and how to make sure everything went smoothly, his personal challenges. Before all these achievements, CRISS Angel had wed his girlfriend of several years, Joanne Winkhart, in the year 2002. Unfortunately, after 4 years of marriage, they decided to part ways and file for a divorce. Despite this, Joanne could be seen in some of CRISS's most spectacular illusions, such as the buried alive stunt in a body suspension trick in 2005, but she was identified as CRISS's girl and not his wife. Fast forward to November 2008, CRISS began dating Holly Madison, better known as Hugh Hefner's ex-girlfriend. Despite the dating, the couple could not keep it a long business and separated in February 2009. However, CRISS was single for only a short time, as she was soon a married woman again. He had a special engagement moment with Sandra Gonzalez on September 7, 2011. He had planned to surprise her with an engagement ceremony during a romantic dinner in Cabo San Lucas at sunset. Although they tried to sustain a romantic relationship, it also failed, and they soon parted ways. From the year 2012, CRISS has been in a steady relationship with Shawneel Benson, a singer from Australia. Amanda has 2 sons. One was born in the year 2014 and the other in the year 2019, and they welcomed a daughter in the year 2021. They had their first child, who was diagnosed with B-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia, AIL, in the year 2015, which was rather difficult for the family. CRISS, however, is more than just a magician. He is also a motorcycle aficionado. For him, Big Bear Choppers built 7 custom-made motorcycles by the year 2010 to be featured on his show, CRISS Angel Mind Freak. He also has a Harley Davidson that was built by Orange County Choppers, and this was featured in the introduction of the show.
The MF2 chopper, I went in a different direction. I got Count Customs to design that. He's a good friend of mine. He designed the MF2, which is kind of in between the very contemporary, like an OCC with a little...
CRISS is equally famous for his kind-heartedness with an exemplary record of giving back to society. He also established the Believe Foundation, which goes by the slogan, "Believe anything is possible," a charity that supports children. He was honored by the Make-A-Wish Foundation as the Best Supportive Celebrity on May 19, 2010. He also received the foundation's CRISS Gracious Celebrity Award back in 2007. On the business front, CRISS's many investments were earning an estimated $70 million in sales revenues by 2016. Well done for a magician. Although he achieved so much throughout his life, he encountered several hurdles. The incident happened on a Friday night in 2017 when CRISS was amid his most popular performances related to the double straitjacket escape. He finally passed out and was found hanging mid-air. They admitted him to the emergency unit. This occurred when he was on stage entertaining his audience in perhaps one of his most famous shows, Mind Freak Live. The trick was for CRISS to suspend himself by his hair using a double straitjacket contraption and attempt to free himself. A rather different outcome ensued this time. The audience was as shocked as people in the TV station. It went on like that, and the next thing he was turning on the spot, and then there was a break and they came and said that due to some circumstances, the show was off and people would be given their money back. I heard one of the viewers say that Chris was close to leaving after spinning in circles for approximately 2 minutes and even stopped spinning. And the curtain fell. We were all very concerned about what happened to him. Chris later came out to clear the air by speaking to The Hollywood Reporter about it. He remembered the little men putting the straitjacket on him, then dragging him on the floor, lifting him in the air, then waking up with needles in his arms, wires on his chest, and cold towels all over him. He stated that he had no clue about what was going on, and the whole process made him feel as if he was in a dream. Chris had to be taken to Spring Valley Hospital Medical Center after the incident. He underwent a brief assessment and was discharged the same night. His rep said that Chris was really thankful for all the love and concern from his fans in every corner of the world. This was not the first time Chris had a scare on stage while performing stunts. In 2013, he suffered a shoulder injury when he attempted the same stunt in Times Square to promote his show, Believe, which left him sidelined for 10 weeks. But Chris, being Chris, wanted to get back on stage as soon as possible. Even after this mishap, he refused to stay in the hospital for observation and a CT scan because he didn't want to disappoint his fans. He signed a waiver to get released and even followed up with doctors on Saturday because he was dealing with lack of sleep, malnutrition, and dehydration. By Saturday night, Chris was back at the Luxor Hotel performing the same stunt that had gone wrong the night before. He felt like he owed it to the sold-out crowd that missed out on most of Friday's performance. Chris explained that he's been doing crazy demonstrations since he was a teenager and every night during Mindfreak Live. He puts his life on the line to deliver the most mind-blowing and original illusions. But despite the scare, Chris was thrilled to be back on stage the next night. He didn't remove the straitjacket escape from his act and said he was feeling just fine. He was determined to come back bigger and better with a vengeance. He also mentioned that the night in 2017 was the first time he ever lost consciousness during a performance, which just goes to show how intense and dangerous his stunts really are. His legacy. In October 2007, CRISS Angel became a judge on the TV show Phenomenon alongside Uri Geller. Then, in 2013, Chris introduced a temporary replacement show for Believe called CRISS Angel Magic Jam at the Luxor Theater. The show featured other talented magicians and illusionists, and Chris directed and performed his own illusions for about 40 minutes each show. The Magic Jam show was a hit, with high-energy performances that received great reviews. Chris announced plans to take Magic Jam on a North American tour during the summer of 2014. Building on the success of his touring show, Chris launched a residency show at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas in 2018.
Hey, it's CRISS Angel. I've been playing Vegas at the Luxor for years in the #1 best-selling magic show. Now I'm packing my bags and I'm coming to your town.
Mindfreak at Planet Hollywood featured extensive special effects, pyrotechnics, and cutting-edge technology, which redefined the magic show experience. The show continues to run as of 2023. Chris has made numerous TV guest appearances over the years, including on WWE Raw, The Oprah Winfrey Show, The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, Jimmy Kimmel Live, and many others. He has also appeared in commercials and even had a cameo in the movie The Incredible Burt Wonderstone. Beyond magic, Chris has a passion for music. He fronted a heavy metal band called Angel and later collaborated with industrial rock musician Clay Scott to form Angel Dust. They released several albums, blending magic and music. So Chris has established himself as a man who can do it all. Not only have his magic tricks been legendary, but he has never shied away from trying out new things. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. What other topics would you want us to cover? Let us know in the comments below.